All right, everybody. Thanks so much for stopping by another live episode of Real Estate Titans, sponsored by Lion Bolt Media. I'm your host, Greg Fowler, traveling throughout the marketplace, interviewing the top real estate professionals in our field, essentially gathering insight, inspiration, really drives and motivates these top producers above and beyond everybody else in what I'd like to consider a real estate titan. Now, a very special guest and feature titan today. I'm super excited about this one. Phil, you have no idea. I mean, I've just been waiting such a long time. I'm a huge fan of yours, but none other than Phil Treadwell from Dallas, Texas. Phil, it's an honor and a pleasure, my friend. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Greg, the honor's mine. You have an incredible podcast and following, and you put out some great content. You're definitely setting the standard. And I can tell you've done this a time or two before because that was very professionally delivered coming from a fellow podcaster. I can say props.
Oh gosh. Hey, I appreciate it. Hey, this is not your first rodeo either, my friend, but this episode live right now is episode 228. So yeah, we've been rolling for about 3 years, just over. So Phil, but I want it to be very specific into everybody out there getting to know you deeper as a man, as a professional. And again, I just want to share you with the world, and anybody that doesn't know this man, you're welcome in advance. You can thank me later, but Phil, I guess let's just dive into the series of questions, really kind of getting to know you that way. So let's start with the first one, which is really telling everybody just a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you're from, where you've gone in your career and your path to brought you to today.
Yeah, I'll try to keep it to a short story. I've packed a lot in my almost 40 years. Was originally born in Missouri. I'm a product of a builder and a teacher. So I'm kind of this entrepreneurship meets academia, if you will. Had to do good in school and get good grades, but I always had these little side businesses going on. When I graduated high school, went to Arkansas. I went to the University of Arkansas. Go Hogs. We just, we're destroying everybody in baseball right now. No, it's not like the big sports, but the Razorbacks are killing it right now. Just won the SEC championship. Always kind of had a knack for numbers, and always knew I wanted to do something finance related. And I actually thought I was going to take over my dad's construction company. He's a custom builder. Wow. And he said, I'd love nothing more than for you to take over my company, but you need to think long and hard before you want to do this for the next 40 years, because you don't remember, the late 70s, early 80s, whenever rates were terrible and building was just non-existent. And he said, I at least want you to look and see what else is out there. So I answered a newspaper ad that was looking for someone with sales and management experience, of which I had both. And it was a mortgage company. And that was about 17 years ago. They were a little correspondent shop. If for those of you that aren't familiar with mortgage lingo, it's a full service mortgage banker. They were able to process, underwrite, close it, fund it with their money, and then they would sell the loan after the fact. Wow. And that was kind of during the subprime heyday, whenever there was the subprime, liar loans, if you will. And I had a really good mentor that taught me the importance of putting a good file together, having good referral partner relationships, taking care of your customers, building a database. And I just really got lucky, and that he had taught me the business the right way. And so while everyone was doing a lot of these subprime loans, I was doing a lot of manual underwrite FHA with down payment assistance and, conventional loans and VA loans and stuff like that. So while I did dabble in a few of the subprime stuff, it was never really what we focused on. That just wasn't the way the company was set up. So worked there for several years, learned a lot, decided to go out on my own, and ended up on the broker side of the business. I opened up my own little branch, little net branch, which is kind of like a franchise. Did that and decided to open up my own company. And this was now 2006. And hindsight's 2020, wasn't exactly the best time to be opening up a mortgage company and on the upside of the financial crisis. But I did that for a couple of years fairly successfully, and then sold my company to Wells Fargo, which was the largest lender in the country at the time. I think one of every 3 mortgages in the country were going through one of their divisions. Wow. And that was essentially how they were recruiting. It was recruit by acquisition, and they paid me enough to close my company down and go to work for them. Was a top producer for them in a several state region, did a brief stint in Colorado. And then when I moved back to Northwest Arkansas, Southwest Missouri, North Texas, those are kind of my regions, if you will. The world was different. And, as I kind of got back into some of the smaller company side of the business and left Wells Fargo, I realized very quickly that, people were starting to do content online. excuse me. And I realized that if I was trying to do business, whether I was recruiting people for my branches or if I was trying to get business in markets where people didn't already know who I was, and my company at the time didn't have a lot of name recognition, my effectiveness went way down. And at the time we Googled people, right? Who is this person? I don't know. Let's Google them. So I decided I need to give people something to Google. I need to give them something to look at. So started doing some content marketing through like blogs and trying to get guests featured on articles and anything that would get enough traction. Not that I was trying to play the AdWords, AdSense, game.
Right.
I just wanted to give people organic stuff. Here's, if you Google me, what you're going to see. Excuse me. So did that for a little while. And then all of a sudden there's this crazy guy screaming on social media named Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V as we know and adore him by.
For sure.
And he starts talking about social media and that it's underpriced attention and this is where you need to go. And I realized very quickly at that time, my audience was mortgage professionals. The old formula of marketing is who's your audience, what value or message, and then what's your medium. My audience was other mortgage professionals. The value that I wanted to give that was helping them build their business. That was the messaging. And I decided the podcasting would be the medium that I would choose, mainly because as busy professionals, I didn't watch a lot of long form video necessarily.
Sure.
So I thought to myself, this is a great opportunity to, to be able to see people that, excuse me, great opportunity to put out content that they could, whether in the car, whether at the gym, while they're doing all these different things. And so I started a podcast and really what I was trying to do was put out content that they could help them build their business. And I really started even before the podcast doing a mortgage marketing tip of the day on an Instagram page. Wow. And the page kind of exploded, was trying to feed this Instagram page. And the podcast was really a happy accident of, I need content to push into this page and the tips and all these things, if you will. And the way it all kind of played out, we had some incredible guests that had a ton of value and people listened, and I didn't expect people to listen. And so through that, it's created a lot of, opportunities within. Now we've got a podcast actually today, ironically enough, today is 3 years ago when we launched our podcast.
Wow.
And we've done about 120 episodes. So not quite one a week. And it's opened up doors with companies and relationships with a lot of people in and out of the industry, had some really cool guests on. And just really passionate about moving our industry forward to a more modern and relevant era. A lot's happened in the past few years in a positive, and people like you and others that are creating great content are trying to keep moving that ball down the proverbial field, if you will, and really help people in our industry become, again, more modern and relevant and build big businesses.
Gosh, Phil, I mean, okay, so I want to backtrack just a little bit. And I love the fact that you're laying the foundation for the story, right? How you were brought up and your family and the decisions that you made and how you've kind of become the man that you are today. And we haven't even gotten deep into it yet, but I'm super thrilled at the fact that you're really a true practitioner in every aspect of your life and your business, from the mortgage side to really understanding podcasting and marketing and really how to expose and diving deep. And there's people who are constantly educating themselves, but don't take the action. You're taking action and you're really setting that bar and those expectations really high, which is why it's a thrill and an honor for me to have you on the show here. Kindred spirits that way. And you've had incredible people on the show. And just for anybody out there, we'll have links in the comments down below, but I would encourage every single person who's watching or listening, please subscribe to this man's podcast, which is Mortgage Marketing Expert. And I can't stress enough just the amount of content that's inside there. And so, Phil, for anybody who hasn't heard your podcast yet, could you give just a little bit of, I guess, what's the meaning behind it, or what are the expectations for somebody to subscribe and really tune in to the show? I'd really love to hear that.
Yeah, and I appreciate that's a great question. We called the podcast Mortgage Marketing Expert, not because I was calling myself the expert, but we had other experts that we were bringing on. And I actually called it that because I owned the website domain. I have a tendency to buy some random website domains, and I'm like, we're starting this Instagram page. We're probably going to start a podcast. What's a good name for it? mortgage marketing expert sounded pretty good at the time.
Mm.
And again, we didn't really know what we were doing. We just knew we wanted to add value. Our heart was in the right place.
Sure.
And so what the entire podcast is built on, our mission is to help people build their business and to do marketing better. And we want to help people build more effective and efficient businesses. And I have a concept called the 3 E's. That's effort, effectiveness, and efficiency.
Mm.
Effort's what we do, right? It's the work that we put in. It's all the things on our calendar, all the activity that we do throughout the day. The second part is effective. Of all of that effort, what are we doing that's actually getting results? What are we actually effective at? What's getting us a win? Well, the way you create efficiency is to clear everything else off your calendar and just stack your day with the things that you're effective at, which creates that efficiency.
Wow.
And so what we want to do is we want to provide tips, firsthand knowledge and experience and advice from people that have built a business that people want to hear from. What did they do? How did they learn? Well, how did they get in the industry? What are things that they focus on a daily, weekly, monthly basis?
I love that. And again, I think it's just constantly shedding light to anybody out there who's hungry or thirsty for just more information, but from true practitioners, from people who have really been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. And I love that, Phil. And again, I would encourage everybody to go subscribe and really tune into that, because the list is incredible, the people that you've had on there. But I want to give a fellow podcast host a big shout out there, because as important as the guests are that Phil spends time with and really shares their story and knowledge, Phil, you're a wealth of knowledge yourself. And that's what's so incredible about not every podcast is created equal. And unfortunately, not every host is. And, it's one thing to just kind of guide people through a conversation, but to really dig deep and to having meaningful, valuable, tangible aspects into episodes. I mean, you're phenomenal at it, my friend. So again, I couldn't encourage anybody more into that. Now, before we keep moving forward, because I still want to keep pulling some out of you here, Phil. So when it comes down to it, you're also the co-founder of Industry Syndicate. So I would love to talk a little bit about that just when we're on the topic of podcasting and things before we dive a little bit deeper into the mortgage side. Sure. So could you tell everybody a little bit about Industry Syndicate, where it came from, why?
Absolutely. So Industry Syndicate is a podcast network, more of a podcast collaborative, and it's essentially a place for mortgage and real estate professionals to go to find other good content related to the mortgage and real estate industry. The way it happened was myself and Dustin Brome, who's the host of the Massive Agent podcast. There was a couple of us that were having a conversation, and when we were at conferences or, just through social media, people would ask, which I'm sure you get all the time, where can I find other podcasts like yours? Where can I find other good content? Like, there's so many out there. How do I know what to invest 20, 30, 45 minutes, an hour in? And we thought, hey, let's put a collaborative together. Let's put a network together and find other really good shows within the industry and showcase them and just show people where to go. And so the Industry Syndicate was formed. We've kept it just a very loose collaborative of people that are passionate about our industry, stuff that we knew was modern and relevant content. If they're saying the way to get more listings is just knock more doors. Not that that's not a great tip, but we all kind of know that, hey, cold calling is an effective means to a certain degree. Sure. But we wanted people to pay attention to what was happening in the market. As markets change, as they do, and as we've seen, has drastically happened over the last 18 months, and I'm sure we may get into it a little bit. We wanted to make sure that it was, again, I keep using this word, relevant, that it mattered at the time. And so that was kind of the key importance. And Dustin has been a big influence in my podcasting journey and even in my business. Wow. And anybody that follows us on social, we like to take shots at each other. It's all in good fun. I have mad respect for Dustin and what he's done. His podcast is also, I want to say 3.5 years. And he is podcasted and put an episode out every single week consistently for 160 or 170 weeks, much like yourself. You guys are just machines as far as how consistent you are in putting these episodes out. I, on the other hand, have not, right? We do batches of episodes and then we put some out and we don't, but it's really about finding other people that you can collaborate with. And I think that's really the underlying message that I want people to hear is, whether it's podcasting, whether it's real estate, mortgage, it doesn't matter. the way to learn is to get around other people, right? Jim Rohn says we're the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. Or
Right.
if you want to hit really close to home, your income is the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. And that was a lesson that I learned early on in life, not even business related. And people can see this that are watching live or watching the video. I have a couple of guitars behind me. And when I was 15, I started playing a guitar. My dad had one in the closet. He, I think, picked at it a little bit. And I pulled it out, started playing it, and went and bought one with, some money that I had saved up. And I had 2 or 3 other friends that were learning to play right around the same time. So what we would do is throughout the week, we'd all go learn different kinds of songs. And each of us were kind of assigned a genre of, you can do classic rock, and you go do hard rock, and you go do country, and you go do, whatever. And then on the weekend, we get together and we teach each other. And we realized we could learn 3 or 4 times as fast. Well, what I didn't understand at 15, 16 years old, excuse me, that's the very definition of masterminding. That's exactly what masterminding is about, is you go learn and try and fail and succeed. And I'm going to go learn and try and fail and succeed. And then we're going to get together and we're going to teach each other what we know. And on my website, I have something, because I'm huge in mentorship. I'm huge in coaching. Every success I've had in business, either small or large, has been a direct result of a coach or mentor taking their experience and imparting it to me in wisdom. And I think that if people can grasp a hold of that concept, that's really what podcasts are about. That's what content is about, is how do you take the messages and the experience of other people and share it in a bite-sized form that's relevant to them, that they want to stop and listen for a second, and they can walk away and be like, I didn't have to crash against that wall to learn that, because I learned it from someone else. Right. And that is, in short, the secret to everything I've ever done professionally and probably even personally is on my podcast. I invited the best of the best in our industry to share. I wasn't monetizing it. I'm still not monetizing it. I don't ask for anything from them other than let me showcase you on this platform. I want to offer content to our industry to help build our industry in the right direction. But what happens? I get 30 or 45 minutes of their time to ask them any question that I want. Out of 120 some odd episodes and hundreds of hours of content, I've been able to learn. I've been able to pick up a few things along the way. And frankly, that's really the mindset I went into it. Even if nobody listens, these people are charging thousands of dollars a month for what they do in coaching or their content. Yeah. And I get them for a half hour, 45 minutes for free. And I can ask anything like I found a hack here, guys. Like, this is incredible. And so if
100%.
People really grasped that and stopped worrying so much about how much we're paying for leads, or why is my cost per lead so high, and focused on those 3 E's: effort, effectiveness, and efficiency. And not just those metrics that you think matter. There may be some metrics of that journey that we all take between our ears that maybe it's not what we're writing, it's how we're writing it. Maybe we need to change the context of it a little bit. Maybe we need to stop letting people read between the lines rather, and see that we're only wanting them to fill out our form because we want leads. Like, go out with a heart to help people, go out to learn, go out to share, and things just kind of happen. It's really not any more complicated than that in my mind.
But Phil, the way that you broke it down and really so articulately, just for everybody to explain and understand, simplicity is best. And I really appreciate where you're coming from for the collaboration and the mentorship, even earlier on, with the guitars and learning songs, and then bringing that into today's mindset. And that's for everybody. That doesn't matter what business, product, service you have, whatever entrepreneurial venture. I mean, that's huge advice and applicable. We haven't even gotten to that part yet, and you're already dropping these bombs. Yeah, I want to go into, because you did touch on the market, and right now we're June 1st, 2021 on a Tuesday. And so there's a lot of things that are happening right now in the market, right? So we talked before we went live just a little bit, just to kind of see what was going on. And I would love for you to talk about kind of briefly what you were going through just a second ago, as far as offers being accepted and what challenges people are overcoming. I mean, Phil, you're such an endless wealth of knowledge. I just want everybody to get a little bite as to what because it's insane. So whatever you want to share about the current market, on the mortgage side, and for anybody who's watching or listening that way.
Sure. Well, I appreciate that. First of all, in today's market, the big conversation and topic of conversation is supply, right? We don't have enough houses. There's no inventory. I have clients that are, making offers on 8 different homes, or they're one of like 15 offers. And we're seeing it here a lot in our market. My wife and I thought, well, maybe we should look and see what's out there. I know that, it's going crazy. And all these listings were saying like one day on the market, like on a Thursday. And then you look in the comments and it says, already have multiple offers, best and final by Monday at 5 p.m. or something like that. I'm like, they're literally putting it on right before the weekend, before they know people are going to be looking online, and they're saying best and final by Monday. So the question is, how do you compete? Like if you're just, John and Judy homeowner and you want to make an offer, how do you do that? Or if you're Bob or Susie realtor, how do you go above and beyond? Well, something that we're doing within our company is something called a TBD underwrite, to be determined. Okay. All that is a fancy way of saying we're going beyond a pre-qualification or beyond a pre-approval, right? A normal pre-qualification is, we've gathered their income and assets, we've taken an application, pulled credit, everything looks good. A pre-approval is we've gone all the way to the underwriting process, right? So on and so forth. What we're doing with this TBD underwrite is we're fully underwriting the borrower, their credit, income, assets without a property, and saying, okay, up to a certain sales price, they are fully approved. We don't need any more documentation from them. So whenever the buyer's agent goes to submit an offer, there's no loan contingency. It's now a same as cash offer. Wow. It's a situation where we just need a contract, an appraisal, title work, homeowner's insurance, just the basic property related information. And we can close that in 10 days, 2 weeks, just depends on how quickly we can get an appraisal and title work back. The reason that's powerful is put yourself in a seller's shoes or a listing agent. You have 10 offers, regardless of the price. Maybe there's not any cash offers, but you have all of these different offers with pre-qual and pre-approval letters and different stuff. How do you know which one? Because you could take the highest offer, but maybe that person can't actually get closed. Or you have someone in the middle who, that bank or that lender, but they'll get it done, but maybe it's going to take a month, and that's going to be, or 2 months. And that's going to be the difference between you getting your next home or whatever. Wow. What we're trying to do is say, hey, we want to arm our buyers and our buyers agents with tools to say, it's essentially same as cash. We can close in 2 weeks. We just need the property information. Wow. And so things like that is what we need to be focusing on in the market. It's a super tactical tip. My company, Thrive Mortgage, we're not the only company that has the capability of doing it. I don't know. There's a lot of companies that are talking a lot about it, because where a lot of mortgage companies in my mind go wrong is they say, well, that's not a for sure deal because we don't have a property there. They don't want to clog up their capacity in underwriting or processing or closing with deals, or not closing because you have a contract, but processing and underwriting for sure. They don't want to clog up those resources with deals that are maybes, right? That aren't for sure. Right. My objection with that is we've run the numbers, and 50% of the TBD underwrites we were doing are getting offers accepted with us not having to re-underwrite the file. Wow. So my challenge to buyer's agents is, how many times when you're submitting an offer do you get them accepted 50% of the time? Because in this market, it's probably not that high. Now, there may be some that have other unique things that they're doing, but just the people that I'm talking to, I don't know a lot of real estate professionals that are working a lot with buyers that are saying, I'm getting half of them accepted. I would say it's probably a quarter or less or whatnot. So this is an opportunity to do that. And in our mind, if you spend a little more and overstaff a little bit with underwriters, you have the capacity to do this. And even some other lender friends of mine that say, yeah, we can do TBD underwrites, they're not talking about it, or their underwriting teams are saying, well, it's going to take us longer. It might take 24, 48, 72 hours for one with the property, but the TBDs are going to take a week. Well, if someone wants to make an offer, they're like, no, I don't want to wait for a full underwrite. Give me just the normal pre-qualification letter or whatever. In our instance, we're saying, no, this is the same difference as a full underwrite. If we had a property, yeah, it's going to take a couple of days to get through underwriting. But the way I look at it is, would you rather be armed when you go look at houses to say there's no loan contingency, I'm fully approved, it's same as cash? Or do you want to send a pre-qualification, roll the dice, and hope you can write a really good love letter and say, my daughter loves this house, we want the yard with our dog? That's what people are doing. Sure. And I go back to you can't do what's the definition of insanity. We all know, right?
Mm-hmm.
People are doing that same thing and just hoping they're trying to play the odds. And so that's something tactical that I think we just need to pay attention to, is how else can we differentiate ourselves? And we could have an entire conversation about content and differentiating ourselves. And, we're going to be doing the virtual handshake conference here coming up pretty soon.
That's right.
To really answer that question. How do you stand out in a crowd where there's so much stuff? It's the same concept. We're just applying it in a different way.
Oh gosh, Phil. I mean, that was a huge explanation, and again, just a tactical piece of advice for anybody who's out there watching or listening right now, who's really trying to elevate what they're doing for their buyers, and in this crazy market that we're all dealing with right now. So, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you on the mortgage side, and where do you guys serve with Thrive? Everything along those lines, just so everybody has an idea.
Yeah, we're licensed in 39 states.
Okay.
We're based in Texas, but we've got offices and we're licensed all over the country. The predominant places that we're not licensed, excuse me, is the far north, like the Dakotas, and then the Northeast. Pretty much everything else, the West Coast, East, Southeast, middle part of the country, where we pretty much cover. As far as getting a hold of me, I'm pretty easy to find. Across social media is just at Phil Treadwell. Pick one, send me a message. I'm almost for sure monitoring it. So,
Phil, I love it. And again, I'm gonna have links in the comments down below as always for everything that we covered. But Phil, before we wrap this whole thing up, my friend, I got to ask you one more question. And this is on the tactical side. I know you've dropped a ton of information, tactical tools and takeaways to apply to business right off the bat. But I really, really want everybody to kind of have a full scope and understanding. I know you shedded light, and to me, the mastermind and the group scenario, learning from others, is very, very important. But if you could look back at your career thus far, 17 plus years, 16 plus years, and pick or choose one or two things that you added or implemented into your business that you really saw growth, you saw the needle move. What advice would you give anybody out there, whether they're new or seasoned, and it doesn't matter what industry they're in? What would you say to anybody out there for advice?
Man, that's tough. My answer to this question isn't going to be as measurable as people would like. One of them, I'll start broad and then get more granular, is just education. Mm-hmm. Every time I've leaned in to a season of my career or life where I'm really focusing on learning and educating myself, cool things happen.
Wow.
So behind you, you have a whole shelf of books. If I turned my camera, we have a lot of the books. Like I can even see the ends of the books because I look at them all the time. I even know what they are. We read a lot of the same ones.
Good man.
I don't care. And I get this a lot from guys and then sometimes from ladies.
Sure.
I don't really like to read. I don't care. Read them anyway. Right. Get Audible. Is your business important enough to you? Is your family's future important enough to you? Right, Greg, you're a nice guy. I'm gonna be some tough love to your audience here.
Yeah.
You don't have to like something to go and do it because it matters. Mm-hmm. And there's something about pages of words that we consume in our brain, right? I'm a podcaster, so I'm very about audio. I do consume books on Audible. However, open up a book and read it. Read what? 5 pages a day, 10 pages a day. I don't even care. Something happens biologically, and I'm not a rocket surgeon. People like Rene Rodriguez, Rene Rodriguez, go follow his stuff, Amplify. The guy understands the mind. He understands communication. He's a mentor of mine and has been a huge influence in my life. He can tell you the science behind why what I'm saying is true. But any time that I've leaned in and really focused on taking a little bit of time every day, spending time throughout the week and reading and learning, and that includes some other things, I'll have an idea that comes from a book and Google or listen to a podcast. All that's great. Yeah. But that's probably number one. And then number two is, I would say, be diligent about your calendar. And we could go as far as to say something I do with my coaching clients is go ahead and write down for a week every single thing that you do, time track. And it can be during business hours. I would recommend you do it from when you wake up to when you go to bed. Do it for 1 week and take a look at it. Like do half hour, maybe 15-minute increments, but at least the half hour so you can see where you're spending your time every single day. just for 5 business days, Monday through Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want you to take either highlighters, or you can do it on a spreadsheet and fill them. Do red light, yellow light, green light. It's going to go back to these 3 E's that I was talking about.
Okay.
Red light, things that you shouldn't have been doing during your productive time, or shouldn't have been doing it at all. Like there's absolutely no reason for it to have been done. You literally wasted that time and you can never get it back.
Right.
Okay. Yellow is going to be things that were good to have done, but you didn't need to do it, right? You should have either delegated that to someone. You should have bought a software or a solution online with tech that could have automated that for you. Stuff that needed to get done, but you weren't the magic sauce in it. You didn't have to be the one that was doing that. And then the last one's green. Those are things that are income producing, that needed to get done. You had to be the one that do it. It gave you and your business lift. That was productive, right? We talk about busy versus productive. Those are productive things, and put green. And I challenge anybody to do that, because if you really look at how much green is on our calendar from when we wake up to when we go to bed 5 days a week, we will be shocked about how much time we either waste or we're doing things that we didn't have to be doing. And so if you are very diligent about your time and you are very focused on what is productive, what is giving you your lift, what happens is you actually give yourself time back. You're able to just stop for a minute, focus on the things that are important. Guys, I'm passionate about mortgage and real estate, but this is not my passion in life. Right? I'm passionate about it because it affords me the opportunity in income and resources and relationships to go focus on the things that my wife and I are passionate about, whether it's our family, whether it's giving, whether it's hobbies. Guys, if you're passionate during the day, you have all the time in the world to focus on a passion. And I'll kind of put a bow on it with this. A mentor told me that true freedom is having time and money. Because if you look, people that have a lot of one typically don't have a lot of another. So that's always been the big challenge, is how do you have both? How do you have the lifestyle that you want, but you're still around enough to enjoy it? That goes on learning and educating yourself so that you can be more effective and efficient. And the other piece of it is you've got to be just meticulous and just unwavering about your calendar and how you spend your time. And anytime I really lean in and focus on those things, really cool things happen.
So I want to dissect that just for a little bit before we finish everything up. But the first part, and education, and you said going kind of broad into that, I thought that you were very specific in a way. I mean, there's no excuses. What I took away, there's no excuses. At the end of the day, we should all be learning and growing every single day, being a better version of ourselves than we were the last. And I don't like to read is such a poor excuse. And to anybody who says that or feels that, no offense, but it's ridiculous. Yeah. And I think that there's so many different ways, from YouTube to different aspects of, Spotify and audio. If you don't like physical books, you can go to conferences, masterminds, you can have conversations with mentors, right? There's so many different ways to learn. There's not one set way, but you should be learning and doing that every day from people who know what they're doing. And there's a lot of misguided individuals out there learning from people who really have no clue, which is a problem in and of itself. But I love the fact that you start with education, but then you implement that. And by learning what you've learned through a mentor, as you discussed, breaking down 7 days, and really looking at every hour, half hour, 15 minutes, and then the red light, yellow light, green light. I've done that in the past, without the red light, yellow light, green light, but it is eye-opening if you are honest with yourself and you document 7 days, every hour or half hour of what you were actually doing. It blew my mind. I thought I was very productive and very, detailed. And I'm telling you, I was blowing a bunch of time. I just was. But you can't see what you don't look for. And I think that's a big issue that people have. I love that. It
is. Well, I'll tell you this, we talk about self-awareness, right? That's a big topic buzzword. The first person I really ever heard say it a lot was Gary Vee a few years ago, self-awareness. And I think that's important. But years ago, I had a mentor that talked about self-awareness before that was really kind of a term. And what he said is the 11th commandment is that thou shalt not fooleth thyselfeth.
Wow.
Don't lie to yourself, right? So that's about being self-aware. In this, we lie to ourselves about what we do all day. I still do it. And I'm probably more in tune to what I do. I have a huge part of what my assistant does is help me manage my calendar with appointments and making sure that I've got breaks and what all the stuff I need to do. I have a really good grasp on what I do day in, day out, and I still blow so much time. That's why this is something that's top of mind for me, because I've got some goals and some KPIs that I really want to focus on. And I feel like I'm losing some time. Like I'm like, I sat here and I'm like, I really should like either be reading a book or doing something right now, you know? And so I want to make sure that I say this plain to people. It's okay to not be doing what you're supposed to, but don't trick yourself into thinking that you are, right? Don't be overcritical. Like, oh, I'm terrible. I'm a piece of whatever, you know, don't be that. Just know, like knowing and taking that illusion away is half the battle.
Beautiful, beautiful words, my friend. Wise words. I mean, Phil, we're literally just scratching the surface of your brilliance, and that there's no exaggeration into the word there, just absolute brilliant. And again, I just can't encourage anybody and everybody out there who's watching or listening to this to please subscribe, please follow, please listen to this man. He is an absolute wealth of knowledge, a true practitioner, professional. But Phil, it's been just a pleasure, man. I mean, every single time I get to talk to you, I just learn so much. I grow so much. It's just like we're old friends, and
we are old friends now. We've hung out enough and we've collaborated enough, and I appreciate the words. You know, what you do inspires me. I mean, you learn, you grow. You're a consummate professional, and I do want to say the little plug. The reason that people need to come and subscribe to my podcast is because the episode that we've already pre-recorded, where you're on my podcast, comes out next week. So I don't want it to be self-serving to come subscribe. They need to come subscribe so they can hear you on my podcast next week.
Oh, Phil, you're the best. Everybody, yeah, it was an honor to share time with you on your show, and again, just the amount of knowledge and just making things so peaceful and smooth, and just bringing things out of people. You're a pro, and I know that just like everybody who's watching this now, hopefully you get some good stuff out of that episode when I'm on Phil's. But yeah, we'll have links in the comments down below for sure. Everybody can subscribe, follow. But Phil, I'll see you next week on the 8th and 9th for you know, that big event that we're putting on, which is super excited going on to there. But I just want to thank everybody out there, as always, for your time and attention, your love and support. If you like here doing the Real Estate Titans, don't forget to like and subscribe. I do want to give Phil a very special dubbing. You're dubbed an official Real Estate Titan, my friend.
Yes.
That is a badge of honor that no one can ever take away from you. Yours for life. No plaque or trophy, I always say.
It's going into my bio, baby.
That's it. An official Real Estate Titan. Always, always. But yes, thanks again, Phil. Appreciate you. And everybody, I got to give our sponsor a quick shout out, Lion Bolt Media. If you are in real estate, you're looking to grow and scale your business on the digital end, there's a free mini course, lionboltmedia.com. Just click on the tab. You'll be able to view it from there. We are live every Tuesday afternoon of Real Estate Titans, a different Titan, a different location. We'll catch everybody in the next live episode of Real Estate Titans. Take care. Thanks, Phil.
Appreciate you, man.